Now with Windows PowerShell, we can import and export XML documents. For example, we can take the get-service information and export it to a CLI XML commandlet. Now the format that this XML is stored in may be useful to you. Personally, I do not use this commandlet much because it is a very challenging XML standard that it's using. You can also import that data from an XML document, but keep in mind it has to be the exact format that PowerShell is expecting. Now the one I use the most is importing and exporting CSV documents. We already did something similar by using convert to and convert from CSV in tangent with an out file commandlet. However, the nice thing about CSV documents in PowerShell is there's a commandlet that will handle all of that for you. So let's take a look at exporting data to a CSV document. In this example, we're going to get a list of all services and pipe it to an export CSV, which will automatically create that file for us. On the reverse, importing that CSV is just as easy. The nice thing about working with CSV documents in PowerShell compared to XML is that CSV documents don't have different standards and that it is simply either comma separated or not. So let's take a look at this demonstration where we will be working with imported and exported data. We are going to open up Windows PowerShell on DC1. Within Windows PowerShell, we are going to take a get process and export it to a CLI XML document. So we are going to save this to posh under processes.xml. Now, when we run that, you do not see any output. So let's go ahead and let's get the content of the file that we just created. Not very readable, and it's actually scrolling past the screen way faster than you could ever read it because there's a lot of information in there. Now, I'm going to kill this from scrolling through by holding down Control and hitting C, which terminates the current running process. And now let's actually clear the screen so we don't feel so overwhelmed with information. I used the alias clear to clear it out. Now that we've cleared the screen, let's go ahead and create a processes variable. So I am going to create the processes variable and I am going to assign the value of the imported CLI XML document that we just recently created. Now when I run that, there's going to be no output of the processes variable. But if I type processes, you will see it looks exactly the same as when you ran get-process. If I take that processes variable and pipe it to get-member, notice it has the same properties and methods as it had previously. The next thing we want to do is work with CSV documents. So let's type get-process, and this time let's export it to a CSV document. We are going to save it under the same location as we had saved the other ones, but this time it has the extension CSV. Now let's open this in Notepad. And you will see there are a lot of commas and lots of information because this is a comma-separated file. And any standard application would be able to understand this information. The next thing we want to do is take that processes variable that we had recently created and overwrite its value with an import-CSV of the CSV document we recently created. And now when we take that processes variable and pipe it to a get-member, we are going to see different results. You will now see that all of those properties are listed as note properties, and the methods that are available on it have nothing to do with the processes themselves. And that is because the XML that PowerShell exports the information with contains information about those properties and different methods that can be executed against those objects. We've got one more thing that we want to take a look at, and we're actually going to use a pre-generated CSV that I created before this demonstration. We are going to open up a document in Notepad that is named studentscores.csv and located under the POSH folder. In this, you're going to see it's fairly simple. We've got a column with student name, a column with test 1, a column with test 2, and a column with test 3 that coincide with the student's name and their test scores for each individual test. So let's go ahead and let's import this information into PowerShell. We are going to create a variable named student scores, and set it equal to import-csv and the file path of where that file is located. When we create that variable, no output is generated. But if we specify that variable, we will see that they have the student name column, the test1, test2, and test3 columns, along with objects for each student. It imported it on per line basis. So let's take that student scores variable and let's do some measuring using a command we've explored previously. With measure object, we can specify the property, and let's check out the scores for test 2. I want to average, I want to get the minimum and the maximum scores for the students in this class. So we can see for test 2, the overall class score was 84.8%. There's 10 students in this class. The maximum score, someone got 100%, and the minimum score, someone only got a 68%.